As always, you're going to start by grabbing the safety glasses that belong to your station and putting them on. Make sure when you put them back that you put them with the black side down, number facing out, please. Nice and neatly as it's shown. Now, when you're done dry sanding, you've checked all your chips and you're ready to move on to part 2, which is wet sanding. You're gonna choose one of your partner's sandpaper. It's a little more beat up than the other. And what we wanna do is we wanna start by folding this in half and then creasing it. I'm then gonna open it up, fold that back in half along that crease, and you should find it tears quite easy. And I'm gonna do that one more time with this half. I'm gonna fold it in half on that crease once again, open it up, and I should get a fairly clean tear. But I would do that to that sandpaper, making 4 sheets. You're only gonna need 1, so you can always share with your partner and maybe a station nearby the other 2 pieces of sandpaper. Now, to wet sand, as it says, we're gonna get this sandpaper wet. But what you wanna think about is you're creating friction and you're trying to polish that springboard, which means you're gonna push. And just like right now, if I go like this with my hands, you'll notice if you do that, they start to heat up. I want to do the same thing with my springboard. I want to wet the sandpaper, and then I'll show you how you're going to take it in your palm and you're going to polish it. Now, once again, using the sink in the back, I'm going to turn the water on and I'm going to get the sandpaper wet without making a mess. I'm then going to turn the water off. I'm then going to kind of fold that sandpaper so it fits in the palm of my hand. Now, back at the table, just like before, I'm going to go 90 degrees, quickly polishing that, and you'll actually feel it start to heat up in the palm of your hand. The other thing that's going to happen is it's going to kind of create a little crease, so you can see how that's kind of rounded. I don't have to go so much at the 45 degrees because that sandpaper is going to naturally crease in my hand. I like to kind of go both directions, right? So I just kind of flip that over. And like I said, you're going to do this for a good 5 minutes per side. So I'm literally just polishing that. And of course, if your arms are getting tired, you can take a break or 2. But what you'll notice, if I wipe that plastic off, is it's going to start to feel much more smooth and shiny, a lot like this dry example that your instructor will show you that you can compare it to. But I have a very rough kind of sanded side. I'm getting a nice smooth polished side. I would do the same thing to the other side. Now I'm going to only demonstrate about a minute per side. You would want to do this for about 5 minutes per side. Once again, I'm just kind of going 90 degrees because that crease is getting those 45-degree angles that I did before. When it comes to the end, same thing, just kind of holding it in my palm. I just have to round over those edges. But once again, you're going to do this for what will end up being about 10 to 15 minutes to properly wet sand your piece. And once again, if you're doing it correctly with a good pressure and speed, you should start to feel that sandpaper heat up in your hand. If it's not, then you're probably not pushing hard enough or going fast enough with the polishing. Now once again, you would make sure to wipe up and clean up your table with the vacuum, but you'll start to feel where you shouldn't feel any kind of like sharp edges, because it should just be a nice smooth round over plastic. So once again, you're gonna work on it. Now, after I've been wet sanding for a good 10 to 15 minutes and everything's nice and polished, two things I want to do. First one is, this goes in the trash can, not left on the table, not left on the floor. Take the wet sandpaper, put it in the trash can. Come grab a dustpan. Sweep up your table. Once again, making sure you got all that plastic dust off. If it's the end of class, you would use the vacuum and vacuum off the table. But I would hang that dustpan back up, and I would be ready for step 3, which is going to be buffing. So step 3 of the springboard, or part 3 of the springboard, is buffing. But once again, it took me a good 20-25 minutes to dry sand, 10 to 15 minutes to wet sand. So those two things are going to take you at least 1.5, maybe 2 full class periods.